Welcome. I'm Nora Shabazi, the founder of EBLI, Evidence-Based Literacy Instruction, a comprehensive system of teacher training and student instruction to help anyone reach their highest potential in reading, writing, and spelling. In today's topic, the effects of illiteracy and subliteracy is near and dear to my heart, kind of in a sad way. And also, brings up these feelings like I have this nauseated feeling just talking about it and thinking about it, which I have done over the last 20 plus years, is even somewhat traumatic to me, which is nothing compared to what is happening to the people who experience it. So there's several things that are really prevalent and kind of a thread across pretty much everybody that experiences this lack of literacy. And one of them is how common it is. There are so many people in your world, and possibly even in your home, who are struggling with reading and writing and spelling, and you don't even know it. Or you may know it a little bit, like, oh, I'm not that great of a speller, I don't really like to read. They may say that. In my world, it was, of course, my daughter, which in the 90s is what led me, from nursing to this work in literacy. And brilliant. She was a brilliant child, tremendous background knowledge about everything, from living all over the world and all of that. But she was struggling significantly. Also, my dad had passed away a few years before I started this work. And I remember my mom saying to me, your dad really could have used this. And as I think back, he kind of read the newspaper, but I never saw him read a book. And I have one note from him. He never wrote anything to anyone. And it never crossed my mind. I just thought, that's what my dad did or didn't do. And also my brother. I have a brother who, for the years and decades that I've been doing this work, never spoke to me about it until a few months ago with this documentary that I've been consulting on. And the teaser film came out. And he watched it and finally opened up to me about the trauma of his experience with struggling to read. He's a successful businessman, still traumatized significantly by his low-level literacy. So this is the majority of people, the majority of children and the majority of adults in our country are suffering from low-level literacy, which is really horrible. The other thing is they're so good at hiding. This is why you don't know. They will, if you have an adult that struggles, they forgot their glasses, or they don't really, aren't really interested in that topic, or there's all kinds of things that they say and that they do. Oh, I don't want to take that class because I can't fill out the application, or I don't want to, anything that requires reading, writing, and spelling, you'll see how they avoid it. Oh, why don't you tell me what's the best thing on the menu because I can't read it? Or, oh, these are nice birthday cards, but I don't read them. Love letters, think of all the things in life that an adult is not privy to when they struggle with reading or they can't read. It's horrible to think about. Kids will do things that they're very clever also. They have a stomach ache. They will hit the kid next to them. They will lie and cheat. They will withdraw. That's what my daughter did. She very much withdrew and wouldn't look anyone in the eye. And this beautiful, bubbly child turned into this, inward, shriveled, emotionally shriveled child. So that hiding thing, they do all kinds of things so that people don't know or that people won't call on them. A lot of times the kids will intimidate their teachers or many, many things that they do so that you don't understand this shame-based secret that they're living with and they're trying to hide. And they're so fearful of being found out. It is such a deep form of trauma. I call it PTSD because these kids as young as 6, and of course these adults, are suffering from post-traumatic stress. And the interesting thing to me also is that this trauma is so deep that even years and decades after they have learned to read, they are still experiencing the trauma of it. The older they are, the more that holds on. And I think of John Corcoran, my dear friend, who's the author of The Teacher Who Couldn't Read. I mentioned in the blog. I recommend you read that. But he told me maybe about 10 years ago, he learned to read about 35 years ago. And about 10 years ago, I had sent him a chapter that a teacher I had trained wrote about EBLI. And I was talking to him on the phone about it afterwards. He said, you know what? I was reading it to Kathy, his wife, and I stopped in the middle and said, you know what? I'm a good reader. 25 years after he learned to read, he had this aha that I'm a good reader. We see that a lot with kids at our reading center, struggling readers all the time. They become good readers, but their mindset is still like, I am not a good reader. And all of that trauma that is buried in there just keeps churning around and kind of spewing out. So the good news and the bad news is all of this is fixable. And not only fixable, it's preventable. If we can just start at the beginning when our kids are in preschool and in kindergarten and truly give them the instruction that gets 95 to 100% of our kids, I like to say 100%, but highly proficient in reading, all of this would be gone. So together with you watching this, it means you are passionate about literacy too. For me, until my last dying breath, I devote my life to this cause, to this purpose, because it's that important. There are lives that are squandered in suffering and, for their whole entire life. And it doesn't have to be that way. So I thank you for watching and listening and reading and for being a part of the movement to teach the world to read.